Go ahead.
They are actors. They're
No,
being paid to act.
No, I know, but they're not good. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. You're right.
This is the IRS, the NSA, the FBI. These institutions have been weaponized against the American people that love freedom, the MAGA movement, people that support Trump, conservative Republicans, Christians.
Yeah, and they're going outside like NWACP events, shouting the N-word. They're going outside synagogues, talking about Jews. I mean, they're doing all kinds of different shit. And it's definitely not our base. You can tell that these people are totally trying to make us look bad.
Jesus. Yeah, it's sad, Rory. If we are compromised, like Greg's saying, every one of our federal agencies is compromised.
Yeah, and Greg, Rick, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I mean, what they're like I said, what they're doing is trying to put everybody in a compromising position to make it look like they're recruited, they're the superstars. When in reality, I mean, I watched some of them and just checking out some of them, and you can see them even in January 6th. These guys were paid to be there. They even practiced and rehearsed what they were supposed to be doing, where they're supposed to be doing it, what they're supposed to be saying, and how to meet the challenge if they're challenged as to who they really are. But you know what? This has been going on for years. It's not just Donald Trump. They've been doing this for years at all these places. They've just magnified it now. And just like Greg was saying, they are terrified of Donald Trump. They are scared he's going back in. And I would make the recommendation to Donald Trump that when he gets in there this time, he needs to don't be so weak in making his decisions. He needs to cut every snake's head off that he suspects and send them a little packing on the way, because if he suspects that they're a snake, he needs to cut that head off and send them on their way. He tried to play footsie with them before and bring them into the fold, thinking you could change these guys, these corrupt Democrats, the Joe Bidens and the Hillary Clintons and their followers, because that's what they do. They don't have a party. They have followers that have been following them blind for forever today, And I was thinking about this caption the other day. What you got is Lady Justice is no longer blind. She has her eyes wide open, and the only ones that are blind are the victims of Lady Justice right now, with the DOJ that we have in place and the government we have sitting in the White House.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Greg, you were saying something about this Fed thing, and then I want to let you respond.
This is like they have taken entrapment to a whole new level. And I mean, you think about it with all that has come out. I mean, the fear of Trump is profoundly greater today than it was in 2016, because when you look at whether it's the Hunter laptop, whether it's the bank statements, I mean, look at the mountain of evidence that has lined up against the Biden crime family, the Clintons, and all on down the line. Can you imagine what they must be thinking if Donald Trump gets back at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Imagine you talk about revenge or vengeance, and they they judge based on what they do. It's kind of like they project themselves. They know what they're doing, and so they imagine if Donald Trump gets in office, he's going to do the same thing, and I hope he does. But they know what they have done. They know the skeletons in their closet, and a Donald Trump presidency will unleash a fury of investigations that will stick. And these people, you talk about indicting Donald Trump for these ridiculous charges. You could be getting a real perp walk with a former President Joe Biden and his son right behind him.
What does my boy Demensio think?
Hey, it's funny, when I was listening to Greg right then, all I was thinking about was, have you ever followed the old Chinese flicks, how they treated their enemies? They didn't just kill their enemy. They went after their children.
Yep.
They went after their dog, their cat, their neighbors that once said hi.
Benihana style, dude. They don't fuck around, dude.
It's just insanity. And the truth is, it's like, right now, I do hope, I know where we are, but I do hope that the core that we have understands that it isn't going to stop with whoever we have on top as our face person. The truth is this is a hideous, evil attack that's aimed at everybody that does not agree and believe what this other side agrees with and believes. And you can't be a woman and be protected. We already see you can't be a child and they leave you alone. You can't, it doesn't matter your ethnicity. If you are a black guy and you say that Trump's right, or you say that Jesus is Lord, I mean, you're going to get attacked just as quickly as you have your Caucasian brother that's standing with you, and you both are going to be on the chopping block. So right now we have to stand. We do not have a choice in this. We have to stand. We have to do. I mean, okay, I know everybody getting tired, but the truth is screw that. You know, you have to stand, and having done everything, keep on standing. You know, I'm glad that Matt retired from one job to go into the next. Yes, sir, bro. But you already said it, man. You're gonna go into the next one, man. And
that's right.
That's how we have to be. We just cannot afford business as usual right now. I'm just adamant about it, whether it's like our young people, you know, I tell them, it's like, yeah, we're fighting for you, but you need to be a part of this fight. And it's like, right. you know, I tell them, and I mean, I'm just like, this is too important. You must understand what's going on. You must understand how to fight this fight. It's no longer, oh, those other people have it. No, all of us, how did our founding fathers say it? We're either going to win this thing standing together, or we're all going to hang together.
That's right.
But
you know, and
we're going to be together.
We talked about that last Friday, that whether it's DeSantis, whether it's Trump, I don't care if it's Rand Paul, you name it. It doesn't matter who the Republican nominee is going to be. They're all going to get treated the same. I mean, the focus is on Donald Trump because he is the fear du jour. He is the one they fear most, and he's the one right now is really the presumptive nominee. He's the one they're going to attack. But make no mistake, if they're successful in eliminating Donald Trump, they will go after DeSantis and anybody else with the same vengeance. To Demensio's point, it's all the same. They're not looking for bipartisanship, because I've always said this. Democrats, bipartisanship to a Democrat, when their power is you sit on your hands, keep your mouth shut, say yes when we say yes and no when we say no. That's bipartisanship. They want no part of compromise. It's not even their vernacular. Only when they're not in power. But if they get in power, they will destroy any Republican who's in the opposition. That's what they've been doing for decades. That's what they'll continue to do.
Right. It's true. Guys, I want to take a quick commercial break. Demensio, I need you to stick around. I know you have to take off here in a little bit, but we're going to be talking about transgender kids in school, a bunch of other crazy shit that has happened in regards to this society that has gone completely into another universe. But stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.
Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog.
Stop! Gary!
Court order for asset seizures.
So they're taking my car?
You went radio silent on me.
Is that what this is about? Just last night, I thought, I missed that fucker.
Is that true?
Buongiorno! That's my cousin. Gary, I swear to God, he's my cousin. He's my second cousin.
There's something seriously wrong with you.
I'm an Uber driver and I don't have a car. I'm gonna lose my house.
You think I chose this? Look at this.
Need a car, date our son this summer, and bring him out of his shell before college. In exchange, we'll give you a Buick Regal. Date is in quotes. It's gotta be a joke, right?
No, have you seen these helicopter parents? I'm surprised they're not gonna fuck them themselves.
We've just been so worried about our son.
He's going to Princeton in the fall.
Oh, I've heard of it. You know, we tried everything to bring him out of his shell.
He doesn't come out of his room, he doesn't talk to girls, doesn't drink.
So when you say date him, do you mean date him or date him?
Yes.
Date him. Date him hard.
Okay. I'll date his brains out.
He volunteers at the animal shelter.
Hi. Mind if I touch your wiener?
What?
Your dog. How about I give you a ride home?
This isn't the way to my house.
It's a shortcut. You're my hostage. What you got down there? Something for me?
Why?
You tried kidnapping me!
You're 19. Grow up.
This kid is unfuckable.
Have a drink together.
He'll have a Long Island iced tea.
This is the worst iced tea I've ever had.
Okay, one thing about me, I'm the baddest alive.
Dance party.
Don't know what to do. I just know my mom would have wanted me to save the house.
He's probably just nervous. Why don't you loosen him up?
We can go skinny dipping.
What about sharks?
Men here!
Jellyfish?
Not this season!
It's really the lack of lifeguards.
Let's get the fuck in here right now!
Okay. I'm just a bit of a romantic.
He's actually really sweet. The best part about getting older is not giving a fuck what people think.
I'm an adult now. I can make my own decisions.
That's good.
You want to savor it. Savor it.
Come on, you're getting out of here. You don't belong here. Let's
Touch me!
Get away from her!
stay.
Oh, fuck!
We should go.
Maddie, you can't outrun the cops!
I can't lose my license.
1984 has been a tough year. Our sales are down, our growth is down.
Sonny, I brought you in here to grow the basketball business.
People don't know what the hell a Nike is.
What's a Converse?
NBA All-Star shoe.
There's nothing cool about Nike.
You would have to have a pretty compelling pitch.
I can tell them the one thing the other companies can't compete with. Our basketball division is terrible.
I do not love it. This is where you come up with a brilliant idea that no one else can see. Let's hear it.
I got it.
I found him. Who's that? Jesus? Can't afford it.
I'm willing to bet my career on one guy.
My name's Sonny Vaccaro. I'm with Nike.
Do you typically make it a habit of showing up at people's front doors unannounced?
I don't like to take no for an answer. Oh, man. Here we go. You ask me what I do here. This is what I do. I find you players, and I feel it this time. Yeah, okay, it's risky. When you were selling sneakers out of the back of your Plymouth, that was risky. Don't change that now.
For a rookie?
Yes.
Who's never set foot on an NBA court.
That's the literal definition of rookie, yeah.
What's the plan?
We build a shoe line around just him. I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Your motor is...
You have our attention.
You show up at the house?
I believe in your son. I believe he's the future. And his story is gonna make us want to fly. But a shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
You got a name for it? Air Jordan. I don't know. Seriously? Maybe it'll grow on me.
Mr. Renfield, welcome. I am Dracula. You will make a very good assistant.
No! He's evil. We will protect you.
You have the word of the most trusted institution on earth, the Catholic Church. Renfield, your sole purpose in life is to serve me. Now, let's eat.
I just want a normal life again.
No, 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 no.
God bless you, Mr. Renfield.
Oh, God bless you, nuns. You're a hero.
Robert Montague Renfield. Let me explain. I work for Dracula.
Count Dracula? It's the real fucking Dracula!
Some call me the Dark One. Others, the Lord of Death.
So you bring in people to eat?
Well, I do other stuff.
Like what? Wash his cape?
The cape is dry clean only, strictly.
Yeah, I will wear this shit. This fly, yeah.
Look, I don't think he's such a bad guy, but you're never really gonna be free until you face him.
I will no longer tolerate abuse. I deserve happiness.
Let me explain something to you, okay? You deserve only suffering. I will unleash an army of death. Everyone you care about will suffer because you betrayed me.
We have to stop him before sunset.
enough. I deserve happiness, and I take full charge of my life tonight.
You know when something crazy happens and someone's like, it's okay, I've seen way worse? Everything I saw you do today is gonna be my way worse.
It's my least favorite part of the job.
When the Republicans get it,
And we are back.
Obama, Bill Clinton.
Demensio, you back with us? Demensio.
He's taking a break.
Demensio.
That's Rick. That's his thing.
There he is. He's back. All right. The guy, the king is back. All righty. I want to get to the transgender scenario. Guys, I really want to know what's going to happen with the narrative of all of these trannies that have invaded how many capitals has it been in the last week? 3, 4 capitals in all these different states? And I mean, these are real insurrections. Why is it not being called out?
Because it's part of their whole agenda. They want this to be a woke nation. The Biden administration is also exporting this wokeness. And if I may add, get to your thing in a minute, Rory, this whole Bud Light commercial things with the new transgender spokesperson, that made me sick to my stomach. I'll never drink a Bud Light again, ever. It is really...
Apparently, I know what you're talking about. Dylan Mulvaney, the tranny that was on the cover of the Bud Light can. That was a joke after all. Apparently, it wasn't real. He did get Bud Light with his face on it, but they're not selling it or anything like that. Supposedly. From what I read, that was an April Fool's joke, and a lot of people fell for it. I fell for it. Yeah, I know I did.
They still put it out there, though. They're still putting it out there as transgender. All this stuff it's normal. It's normal. It's an attack on the family. They're trying to normalize this shit. I know it was probably an April Fool's joke, but even putting it out there like that, and Biden had that monster at the White House for 2 hours, so he really doesn't give a shit.
I mean, how can we allow these people to even walk around? How can we even allow them to breathe? How can we even allow them to, have a life? How can we let them get away with what they're doing? Because they're spreading.
Rory, we've created a mountain.
They're spreading everything that is wrong with society. I mean, they are the fucking problem. One of the biggest threats we are facing is transgenderism, because I'm going to tell you why. Because it starts small like this, and then it expands, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and it gets bigger, and then it's a giant fucking swamp, and you have everybody's a fucking tranny, and everybody. This is a mental health crisis. You're either a man or a woman.
Rory, you're like, this is a long fought battle amongst really social conservatives and the anti-authoritarian, the 1960s, the crowd that was rebellious, counterculture. This is not a new thing. This is just another machination. It's the next stage. This thing's been going on. The disintegration of the American family has been going on. And, I read, and I urge everybody to go to the congressional record of 1962. These are the Marxists, the goals of the Marxist movement in America. There's 45 of them. This is right straight in there, attacking the family, promoting homosexuality, eliminating and deteriorating the influence of parents. This is not this transgender thing is just the latest machination in the destruction and the erosion of our society and the family unit. They've redefined the families. I said this for the longest time. People in this great country have a right. They have a right to identify. You want to dress up like a baby as a 60-year-old man.
And how is that not pedophilia, Merk? How is that not an example of pedophilia?
Well, I'm not. If somebody obviously touches a child, but I'm saying if somebody wants to think.
What I'm telling you is.
Let me finish. We're way past that, Rory. We're at a mountain. Okay, this was a molehill 50 years ago, and we allowed it to continue to go on. And we allowed Hollywood, we allowed arts, academia, and our media to slowly. Yeah, I mean, we're at 99.5 degrees Celsius, 1 degree from boiling. We're the frog. You know, we should have been fighting these battles when it was 10 degrees, but we got so comfortable. And like the frog, now the water's boiling, and we're going to die. That's just the state of our society. But to say that the transgenders is the end, listen, this is part of this whole grand redefinition and the destruction of our American way of life. This is a part of the broader Marxist movement in this country that is fundamentally transforming this country. It's all part of it. But you have to look at the big picture, the macro, the 30,000 level view. When you replace truth with imagination, when reality is supplanted by fantasy, you have chaos, and that's exactly what they want. This is not some new thing. And you know what? If you want to pretend you're a woman, whatever, in this country you could do that. But what you don't have a right to do is twist America into a pretzel, turn America inside and out to accommodate you. You don't have a right to destroy and attack and mutilate children. You don't have a right to reinvent the family and destroy traditional Christian heritage and institutions. That you don't have a right to do.
Right. But here's what I want to say, and I'm going to let everybody respond. The LGBT, community is under attack from the transgenders, because what this really is, it's an attack on gay people. It's an attack on women. They're competing in women's sports. They're applying as women for various job positions for schools now. I mean, the way this changes the dynamics of society and the damage it's going to cause, it's incurable. I mean, it's so horrific.
And before this, Rory, it was homosexuality. And before homosexuality, it was free divorce. It was discouraging people to get married. It was destroying the sanctity of marriage. So we can keep going back, but it's all rooted in a Marxist transformation of this country.
Okay, you pretty much just came up with the point I had the other day, and you're touching on that, which is, I strongly believe that if you lock these people up and you instill Jesus in them and you give them psychiatric evaluations and you give them Demensio, I want you to respond to this before you go. I believe that if you give these people the proper medical attention and treatments, and you put them away for as long as it takes, they're not going to be transgender. And that's what we need to have happen. We need, call it what you want. Is it instilling fear? Is putting Jesus into somebody's, life? Is having somebody go into psychiatric evaluation into a facility until they're not transgender anymore? Is that hate? Is that fear? I don't think it is, because I can tell you one thing, and I think this is a comparable situation. I've seen many drug addicts that never want to stop. They want to live their entire lives being a drug addict, and they're not going to listen to any motherfucker. I was one of those people. I was a bad alcoholic. I used a lot of drugs. Thankfully, I've been sober a year and a half. Obviously I smoked pot, but pot was never my issue. It was the hardcore drugs that were my issue, like the cocaine, the alcohol, the pills, stuff like that. But long story short, if you put somebody away, if you lock somebody away, if you instill fear in them and tell them, I'll tell you what, I got arrested. I went to jail a few different times. Eventually,
because you broke the law, not because you were a heavy drinker.
I learned my lesson. I'm just saying you learn. If you have these sort of programs, if you have these things that you have to face, like if you have to be locked away, because a lot of these people don't even know who the fuck they are. They can't figure themselves out, and they have no doctor nearby. They don't have family who's talking sense into them. So they're not safe in society. They need to be put away. I just know if you have this sort of intervention, you'll change your ways. It's just like a drug addict. It's just like these gay guys that find Jesus, and all of a sudden they're not gay anymore. I could go on and on.
Yeah, they're not subjugated to it. They're not forced in it. China does that, and Iran does that. This is America. Look, we've let it go on. You can't move the mountain with a shovel. You can't just like sweep. So okay, yeah, we're going to jail these people. That's it. That's not America. That's China. That's Russia, and that's Iran. They'll throw homosexuals off the roof. Well, I get it. You know what? If you subjected somebody to that, maybe they would. But you can't force somebody to get help if they don't want it. It's like any alcoholic. Until they realize that they need the help, they don't want the help. This is what it has to be people's choice. We're not in the business in America. This is a free country. But like I said, people have a right to do that. They don't have a right to destroy America. The problem is the Marxist movement is bent on destroying America because that is the key. This is not a national movement. This is a global movement. In order to really usher in their globalist utopia, they have to destroy American exceptionalism that is rooted in free market capitalism that came out of our Christian values. Because the key to a global movement is to emasculate everybody because capitalism gives everybody a level playing field. It provides opportunity and equality for everybody who's got the gumption, the drive, and the determination, willing to get the blood, the sweat, and the tears to put in. It allows everybody opportunity. They hate that. They want to pick the winners and losers. Capitalism and free markets destroy their ability to pick winners and losers. So that is their game. It is a Marxist movement, and all these other things, man. It's like we talked before. Well, what is the Democrats? They're trying to not make you look around. Look, these are all symptoms of an underlying spiritual problem in this country, and it's rooted in a Marxist ideology that has been sweeping this country since the late 30s.
But the transgender community is constantly indoctrinating kids with this bullshit.
And so has the homosexual community.
And so
has the homosexual community.
And they hate themselves so much that they have to bring other people in their misery, and they want other people to become transgender with them. And this shit spreads like wildfire.
And how is that different than the sodomites, the homosexuals?
I mean, you have a point.
And the state tries to protect them and says, if you say anything bad about transgender or LGBTQ, you're practicing hate speech. So the Democrats, that's their big agenda. Is if you say anything bad about them, it's hateful language. It's all about control, and they're using this transgender stuff as more control. You've got to let them do what they want to do. You say anything, you're going to jail.
But Paul said, you beware if you bite and devour one another, lest you be consumed by another. And we're seeing that happen with these radical leftist organizations. The gays are hating the trannies are hating the gays. The transgenders and the women's movements are now all fighting. You got the animal rights groups clashing with the climate change groups because the windmills are killing birds and all the rest of it. They're biting and devouring one another. But the sad part about it is they're not going to all eat each other up and then just us Christian conservatives are going to be left. That, unfortunately, is not going to be the case because this is a global movement that is bent on the destruction of the United States of America as we know it. Because the key to the global utopia is to get rid of American exceptionalism.
Demensio, your thoughts on this before you go. Got you just in time.
I was just about to hit that button.
Got you just in time.
All right. Okay, nutshell it. I'm handling as I'm Pastor Demensio right now. Listen, guys. There's this old saying: if you give the devil an inch, he'll take a mile. You give him a piece of rope, he'll hang you with it. It's one of those things where, really and truly, there's been a growth, and it didn't start with what we're dealing with now. It started with simple things like. I really believe that most people didn't try to. I don't believe that our people really, I'm talking about here in America, I really don't believe our people tried to end up where we are right now.
Right.
But it was the result of step by step of error.
Demensio, they're trying.
Yeah, no. Let me explain what I'm saying.
The cultural Marxists came to America in 1939.
Just wait a minute, Greg, I was patient this time, man. Let me just be patient.
Well, I'm just saying, you don't feel they are trying.
What I'm saying is, from the early last century, we had a world war. We had men that were taken out of the equation. We had women that had to work real hard. That meant you had children that actually didn't get training. We had the whole Industrial Revolution, which was also a big one. We had people moving from the farms, and they were moving right before their time, and they moved from the farms and they got into the cities, and the kids were too busy working in these horrendous situations in these factories and stuff. They weren't being trained by their parents or educated by their parents. People trying to just exist. Well, you got kids that don't have a lot of training, but what's happening is you're getting watered down. You're getting one side, but you're getting less of the side that teaches you the right things. You go ahead, you get all the way into the Depression. You got all of these here things where, hey, come on, we're talking about 100 years ago. You get 100 years ago, and then it's like, yeah, we had the speakeasies, but come on, that was people. We had these rules against prohibition. Why they have it? Because our people were becoming unrestrained. The scripture says, without a vision, the people perish. What happened was they didn't have a vision from God. And then as people lost sight of what their life should be like, where their life should be going, the people began to perish. But if you look up what that word perish means, it says to cast off restraint. And isn't that what we're talking about right now?
Right.
People,
yeah, but my point is, though, this is a deliberate act.
Let me finish. Whether it's because I'm about to leave, whether it's with drugs, whether it's with sex, whether it's with sex with other people, now you got bestiality. People are casting off one restraint after another restraint, after another restraint, after another restraint. Why? God was taking out of the equation.
Absolutely. That's I said that.
Not stay in.
And replaced with government. We replaced Big G God with Big G government. That's absolutely true.
But when you let me cash out, man. But and you'll be able to do it. But the whole thing about it is when you take Christ out of the equation, when you take Jesus Christ out of the equation, when you take him out, take God out, you cannot help but have what's left. And this is the very simple analogy for anybody. Darkness cannot even, you could be in a giant stadium and the darkness cannot put out a little candle. Light will fill that area. But if you take away light, that's how you get darkness. And when you take Christ out, you take God out, darkness gets darker and darker, and it gets colder and colder.
Yeah, that's essentially, Demensio, that's exactly what I said. But my point is, this is a deliberate movement. And I'll tell you what, the 1930s Depression, we could never do what those great people did. Yes, they stood in those lines, but they fought their way out of it. You look at this is the greatest generation. We're nothing like that. And to condemn the 30s is just weird. I'll tell you, we should dream of the days of the 1930s, the 1940s, and the 1950s. The Marxists played the long game. They started in the late 30s. And if you don't think it's deliberate, this is number 26 of their goals. 1962. Present homosexuality. Listen, present homosexuality. Listen to what I'm saying, because you don't think it was deliberate. Number 26. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, healthy. Number 27. Infiltrate the churches and replace revealed religion with social religion. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity, which does not need, quote, religious crutches. So this is absolutely a deliberate Marxist movement. Read it. It's read into the congressional record. I want to add 100% deliberate.
Demensio, I want to say one thing. Demensio, I just want to say one thing. I want to say one thing, and then I want to let you say whatever you want. I want to say one quick thing. It'll take me 5 seconds. With this transgender thing, we've been in this country for the longest time. We've said people can be free. Freedom. But where do we draw the line? People take advantage of that to a whole nother level that very few can understand, their like the lifestyle. I mean, it feels like it's gone way too, go ahead. It's gone way too far.
Okay, let me finish saying this here. Marxism, okay, sin, if we believe the Bible, sin came in when the first rebellion hit and then Adam ate on that apple. So this whole thing, and he didn't start off with some kind of Marxism. He started off with, I'm going to disobey you. And he did it with his eyes wide open. That's where it starts. But where we are right now, just where we are right now, and looking at the United States of America, this hole that we're falling in, if you keep shutting out the lights, it's going to get dark. If you take away,
do you not know that's the Marxist movement? I just read that to you, though. That is the Marxist movement. I just read number 27. Infiltrate the churches and replace religion with social religion. And you'll get rid of the Bible, discredit it, and make it get rid of this religious crap.
We've been fighting this stuff. Rome had this stuff, and we were fighting with it. If you take it back,
let me ask you: Would you rather? Do you think the 50s were better socially? Do you think we're better socially in the 50s than we are today?
So controversial.
Were we better in the 50s socially than we are today?
Greg, Listen.
That's
to
a
me.
question.
You're
Just
not
answer it.
Listening to what I'm saying.
Because you go round and round like circular
Hey,
logic.
Rob, I'm
Were we
gonna
better
ask
in the
you, brother.
50s than today?
Rob, I'm gonna ask you a question, buddy.
Oh, well, I asked you first. I'll answer yours. Quid pro quo. Were we better in the 50s than today? Quid pro quo. Then I'll answer yours.
Rob, I'm answering your question by asking Rob a question. If you listen. Hey,
Yeah,
Rob,
you know what? You don't even play by the rules, Demensio. So forget my question. You can't answer it. I'm just going to assume you don't know how to answer it.
Just chill for a minute. Rob, have you ever used the barbecue grill?
Of course I have.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question. Before you light up your charcoal or whatever you prefer, what do you prefer to use?
Charcoal.
Okay. Before you light it
The
up,
Reader's Digest version.
What is your grill like?
It's big, red. It's filled with black on the inside where all the burn stuff is. It's racist as hell, but
what temperature is it?
Yes, it'll sit a couple hundred degrees.
Okay, after you heat it up, right?
Yes, sir.
Before you heat it up, does it have a lot of heat?
No.
Okay, now watch this here. After you cover it or smother it, is it hot or cold once the fire goes out and you just have the coals in there?
No, it's still hot.
Okay, watch this here. After you've walked away and you finish cooking and you're done with it and you're letting the coals burn out, is it still hot or cold?
It's still hot.
Now tell me this here. Hour after hour, is it getting hotter or colder if you don't put any more fuel on there, you don't let any more oxygen get on there? What's happening to your grill?
As time goes by, it cools off.
And that's what's been happening to America. The more we take God out, Christ out, the
Hey,
more
Demensio, have I not been saying that? All right. My point is this. My contention, it's a very simple question. You're saying it's not deliberate.
I want to force Jesus upon every transgender until they change their identity back to normal, until they go back to being right in the head. I mean, giving them Jesus will restore their value and their faith and will give them a proper sense of reality.
Hey,
it's not an accident. Demensio is my point.
And you do not have heat, you're going to end up with cold and darkness.
Yeah, no kidding. Hello. I've been saying that a million times. I don't know if you don't listen to what I'm saying. But my contention with you is it's like you look at the 30s, it's all this whole. Yes, we've never been a perfect nation. However, this Marxist movement has a date.
All right, I gotta go, man. It has a start date. Today. I gotta go, man. Okay,
read about it. Educate yourself.
Take care,
www.waoministries.org. I'm Pastor Demensio Barton from We Are One Ministries. I'm also over Orange County Republican Executive Committee's Education Committee. I literally, listen, guys, I'm a busy guy. I do construction. I'm an engineer. I'm a GC. I do a lot of stuff. I'm a dad. Our kids in college. We got all this stuff goes out. But you know what? It matters that you sell out. And even when you hear Greg and me going at it, the whole thing about it is we're passionate about one thing, getting it right. We may not agree on everything, but we agree on one thing. This thing has to get right. Hey, I pray that you activate and that you do yourself. And the truth is, we cannot change the light in somebody else, but we can make sure that there's light in us. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good one, guys.
Demensio, quick question for you. You said everything better happens when God is in the picture. So why can't we force that upon people? Because I've never seen anything bad happen when God is in somebody's life. So because people are too stubborn, people are too ignorant, people don't want to do their own due diligence and do the research. So it's almost like we have to do it for them. A lot of other countries do it and their citizens turn out great. I'm wondering why we shouldn't do the same in the U.S. in your eyes.
Okay, the thing about it, okay, I'll say it like this. You cannot make somebody accept Christ, but you can
requiring every public school to read the Bible, every school to read the Bible, like stuff like that.
You can make sure, and I was about to agree with you. I was about to say this here. You can make sure though that light is being taught in the schools, because all they're doing right now is trying to teach darkness. So I will say this here. If light was a part of the teaching, just like when they said, let people, if you're going to teach the evolution theory, you might as well teach the creation truth. It's like it's best that you have the light presented and then let the people choose. That is the best. Because what will end up happening is you'll start to have more and more people realize how foolish it is to stay in darkness.
But they have to have the choice, like you say.
We could also
they have to be able to choose. Because Rory,
Demensio, we can also look at. I want to touch on this, like the choosing aspect of things. How has that worked out, though? Christianity has strongly declined. People are choosing to shy away from Christianity. So how do you respond to that?
Okay, but the thing about it is you got our parents busier and busier and busier and busier, so they couldn't share nothing with their kids. You got them busier and busier. They don't go to church. The parents right now, a lot of our Christian parents, they do not darken the halls of a church. And they definitely, watch this here, and a lot of them, they do go to Christian country clubs. That's just the truth.
Right.
Therefore, they're not really getting stronger themselves. Now, on top of that, the kids, because the parents are not going, the kids are not going. And when the kids are not going, you got a generation that may have known Christ, may have known the truth, not training or not having that other one go. Now watch this. On top of that, you didn't have things like the 10 Commandments, or you didn't have things like prayer in school. On top of that, you didn't have these things. But the failure happened long before you got to the schoolhouse door. The failure actually happened at home. But I personally believe, and this is a personal Demensioism here, Pastor Demensio, I believe that welfare thing is one of the big abominations of all time. But I believe that when we went to a two-parent, your two parents must be working to financially pay for your family to live in most circumstances, the clock sped up on the destruction of our nation and our families.
Don't blame society for that, Demensio. Don't blame society for that.
The Bible says when children are left to themselves, they will.
But you're blaming society. You're blaming society, and that's unjust and wrong. It's factually incorrect. People chose to do that. The selfishness and the greed in families, they don't have to. They do it because they want the nicer car and the bigger house. Don't blame society for that. That's an individual choice. You know, by the way, the vast majority of the churches in America today deny the fallibility of scriptures. So how are you going to? I don't even know that you're listening to me because I'm talking and you're talking. But the vast majority of churches, I don't know about your church. I've never been to your church. But the majority of churches, the majority of churches deny the fallibility of the scriptures.
He got this. He got it. Yeah,
but that's right. Ignore that.
You guys have a good one. And Greg, there was no argument between us. I don't even know why you even started one.
Well, because I'm just saying that the vast majority of churches deny the fallibility of the scriptures. So good luck going to church. All right, good luck going to church. That's just not that's not the same. But Roy, to your point,
he signed off.
No, I know it. But to your point, you can't force it because you know what? Christ did not force it. He said, behold, I stand at the door and knock. He didn't say, I'm going to knock and I'm going to knock again. Eventually, I'm going to kick your door down. You're going to listen. That's not how it works. And what did he tell his apostles? He said, you go to the house. If they reject the message, you shake the dust off from your feet. That's what he told them. It wasn't you tell them and you force them and you make them. That was not Christ's way. How can we make that our way? So if we want to be this Christian nation, don't we want to do it the way Christ did it? Because that's not how he did it. He said, I stand at the door and knock. If they reject it, you shake the dust from their home, off the bottom of your sandals. So that's right. But unfortunately, we've gone so far that we're trying to solve a problem that is so massive now. And it's like I say, we're trying to move a mountain with a shovel. You can move a molehill. You can't move a mountain with a shovel.
Yeah. Anybody have any thoughts on this?
Can I make another observation about what you're going and how this transgender stuff and whatever wokeness is affecting it? Did you see the Country Music Awards? You think a bastion of kind of, Christian people that like the music, and they had the whole drag queen thing out. Like, I would never think country music would fall so quickly into that evilness. And you always think about country music and whatnot and, Christian loving people, but that's gone out the window too. Everything's infected.
Pretty soon, NASCAR.
Dude,
NASCAR.
Bro, I was downtown the other night. I saw some dude that was like 6'5" in a fucking dress. And I'm like, what the fuck, bro?
You live in
I'm like,
Palm
is this the
Springs. That's
Well,
normal.
there were a bunch of trannies downtown, but this one dude stuck out, 6'5", a fucking dress, and I'm like, holy motherfucking shit, dude. This is like
but Rory, listen, it's very important to understand, and anybody's here, very
downtown
extremely
Palm
important.
Springs, though, to be fair, I mean, you know, it's not unusual to see these kind of things. You see a lot of shit. They got their own street down there that I tend to stay away from.
But the message that has to be crystal clear is this is not an accident. This is not an evolution. This is a deliberate attempt to fundamentally transform this country. This is a deliberate attempt by a Marxist movement that has been at play for almost 100 years. Deliberate, specific, intended. This is what they mean to do. Now, yes, I get it. There are millions of useful idiots. I get it. This is an intentional movement.
Oh, and I do have to tell you, and this is the most disturbing part of all. I did see 2 transgenders that were men, and it wasn't the 6'5" dude. In the hotel, Zoso, which is a nice hotel here, 2 men dressed as women going into the girls' bathroom.
Wow.
And the Hotel Zoso is like a really nice hotel in downtown Palm Springs, like on the strip. A lot of people stay there. There's a lot of events there. And, you know, the person at the desk, the employee, saw it happen. And nothing. It's like they don't care. I mean, think about it. You've got fucking dudes going into the bathroom with females. I mean,
Rory, California has a lot of protection.
Yeah, but this isn't just here though, man. I've heard of this happening in places even like Texas and North Carolina, and you know, places Arizona, like Republican areas that you would never even think this would happen.
Yeah, let me tell you, it happened in North Carolina when they first started doing all this stuff, but you know, and that was a big thing where, you know, the bathroom bill, because that's where it initially started, was North Carolina. That was, you know, the whole nonsense of what they were trying to accomplish, you know, and I'm a traditionalist. I believe you go what's on your birth certificate, you know, and I had made a statement one time when I was campaigning. I said, you're not allowed to keep them out. You can't force them to stay out of the bathroom with the men that want to go and where the little girls go and all that kind of stuff. I said, but there's nothing standing there to stop you to stand at the front door and yelling, don't go in there right now. Don't go in there right now. You know, and somebody thought I said, oh, you're out there bashing people. I said, no, I'm out there protecting children from adults. You know, that's the kind. So if you go into a little girl's room and you're dressed up like a woman or whatever, you go in there. Does dad have a right to go in there with his daughter, protect his daughter at the same time? And that was the question that I would always have. If I send my daughter into a restroom and a man goes in there, I don't care if he's dressed like a football player or as a cheerleader. If a man goes in there, I'm going in where my daughter is to make sure everything is okay. That's the dad in me. That's the father in me. That's the grandfather in me. Not going to apologize. Getting back to the Country Music Awards, 3 years ago, I sat there and watched this, and I said to my son then, I said, you know what? I'm seeing a little change in country music. I said, I'm starting to see this, and I said, it's going to change as time goes by. Well, then next year they started out, and they had the background. You had to look at the set. The set started becoming more, as they call it, more modernized. And as things began to be slowly slipping in, and I said, you know, I quit watching it then. I really quit watching it because I didn't want to hear any nonsense, no speeches. It was kind of like football. I put it right in there because you could see this was slowly migrating, but they were doing it so quietly and so sneakingly that you wouldn't know it unless you're us and you're sitting there looking for something. And then, so this year they said, there's a song on there and it said, God gave me you, or whatever it was. Well, I'm sitting there listening to it on the Sirius satellite. I said to my son, this was a year ago. I said, I don't like that song. I said, why? I said, it doesn't sound country music. There's nothing about that song that's country music. It's like they placed this song right in the middle of this venue to all of a sudden just shake it up and try something to see if it worked. Of course, it won this big Country Music Academy Award. They changed the country. I didn't see it. So I only know what people tell me because, like I said, I quit watching it 3 years ago. I was like, screw it. They're screwing it all up. I'm not going to sit there and watch it. I do Sirius Satellite XM radio. I listen to what I want to listen to. If I don't want to hear the BS, I flip it. So it's nothing, for me. But says, we listen to a lot of news channels. No, I do listen to conservative, and sometimes, I'll flip back and just bypass one of the channels for about 30 seconds to see what they're saying, and I can't stand 20 of the 30 seconds and then move on to the next subject, But but this has always been a plan, and just like Greg said, this was a plan from the get-go. They get away what they can get away with until they can't, and then they get caught with it, and then everybody wants to act surprised, like, "Ooh, surprise! It just appeared." Heck, no, it didn't just appear. They've been planting the seeds for years to destroy things that we're looking at today.
And let me just say, probably one of the most misquoted Bible verses is the Bible says you're not supposed to judge. Well, it doesn't say that. It says judge righteous judgment. The problem is when good people think that it's a sign of virtue to not judge evil, then we are most definitely a miserable people. That's what we become, because we see good people stand by and we watch as the transgender, the sodomites, and all of this social disintegration, and we stand back and it's like, well, I can't judge them because you know what? That'd be invirtuous. And I'll tell you, when good stops judging evil, this is what you have right here. This is what you get, and it gets worse.
The sodomites. Rob, you have any thoughts on all this?
No, I'm just laughing because the whole conversation, this has been going back to, like Pastor was saying, this goes all the way back to Adam and Eve, man. This is back to the garden. You call it socialism, you can call it this, call it Romans, you can call it the Attila, you can call it, Attila the Hun, you can call them all those. It's all Satan. It's all Satan. And
well, and that's all, and that's very good, because the fact is everybody needs Christ. That's it. Yes, we get that. But we're talking about society in this country that was founded on Christian principles. And we're looking at a nation that was built up and a nation that was blessed by God because it did promote God's principles and God's values. And, I have my own opinions about why America came to be. And much of it is rooted in the fact that America was the instrument, the tool that brought Israel back on the map. But that being said, yeah, it's just so easy to say, well, sin in the garden. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody needs Christ or you're going to hell. But this is the United States of America. And if you want to know where it's going, you had better understand who the enemy is. Obviously, the enemy is the devil. It's Satan. But we look at this, and he has appearances in everything throughout society, and we had better understand exactly who it is, or we'll be deceived. The Bible says very clearly that the devil is such a deceiver that so as even to deceive the elect. So he's so mysterious, and he's so deceptive, and he's so beautiful that even the elect could be deceived by him. So my point is, rather than just say, yeah, it's Satan, it's all started in the garden. Yes, it did start in the garden. But you know what started in America? Really, if you want to look at the start, it started in 1939 when the cultural Marxists played the long game and they came into academia. And they play the long game. And if you want to look at their exact motivation, it's written right there in the congressional records. It's a deliberate movement because this was a Christian nation, and that Satan that we know is real has wanted to attack this country for a long time, and he saw his tool, his effective tool, in this thing called Marxism.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not arguing the point with you, Greg. I'm saying that you're right. We just have to understand that that's the underlying thing. But here it is now today, in today's world, yeah, we have to identify it, have to call it out, and know what it is. And it's like everybody said on here, everybody on the panel said tonight, and we say it all the time, that you got to know, and you have to be able to call it out and not be afraid. And just like we were saying, we've become a country of placating, in the name of political correctness and everything else, and that's what we do. Like with C-Suite, the ministry that I lead, we're all about bringing Jesus back into the marketplace, bringing Jesus back into the work life, and back into if you're a Christian leader, stand up, be proud that you're a Christian leader, call it out, be willing to pray for somebody, be willing to call somebody out that way. Don't just hide it in the name of political correctness and, I don't want to end up in HR. That said, there's a right way and a wrong way to do that. You come at somebody and, you come at me and tell me that, you're a sinner, you're doing this. And, I'm going to have a little different conversation, but I'm not going to be happy. But you say that to, some people, and you're going straight down to HR. So that's one of the things that we teach is there's a way to share your faith and talk about who you are. And one of the things we say a lot is talk about not only who you are, but whose you are and where your heart is and where your heart belongs. And that's what, going back to Rory, your point, we can't force Jesus on it, but yes, we can start bringing him back into the schools and bringing him back into that, to where at least that light is getting some exposure, and let people decide for themselves, because that's the way Jesus said. That's the way Jesus did. He said, you know what? Let me show you that, yes, there is this way, but there's this way, and let you figure it out for yourself.
Well,
I just noticed, you know what? I notice in places like Uganda, where this stuff is not allowed because they'll criminalize it, it doesn't happen. That's what we need to have here. If you see a fucking guy dressed up as a chick in a dress going into a fucking female bathroom, I mean, that should be fucking criminalized. Transgenders should be criminalized. They should be treated the same way people would be treated in Uganda, because this shit wouldn't even happen. If we treated this scenario like these other countries do, this shit would not happen. This is a dangerous fucking road.
No doubt it is dangerous and it's destructive.
Every fucking episode, I'm so fucking angry about it. It's disgusting. It's beyond. I mean, disturbing is an understatement. Disgusting is an understatement. It's immoral. It's subhuman. These fucking people aren't even human, as far as I'm concerned. There's no place for them in civilization, in society.
Well, look at it this way, though, Rory. You know,
locked away, put in concentration camps. We need to treat them like China treats the Muslims.
Yeah, but Rory, listen. First of all, we're not China. But here's the
prison or a fucking institution, and get them psychiatric fucking help. Make them change their ways. Have them accept Jesus. Make them read the whole fucking Bible. And until they're out of this weird, delusional, oblivious state of mind that's not real, then they can come out and associate with us and come back to, society.
How did this mindset, Rory, grow in American society? And we have to take a look at it. I know we talk about a lot about the role of Hollywood.
Because we're not attacking them. They're attacking us on every
I know, but letting your kids, how about getting control of what your kids watch or your grandkids watch? They get exposed to all this bullshit like Buffy the Vampire, all this evil witchcraft shit, the transgender stuff. They're exposed through media, through Hollywood. So the best thing we can do to try to thwart these things is keep an eye on what your kid is exposed to. And if that comes down to like social media, make sure you limit them doing that.
Not enough.
You got to start somewhere.
Well, but MJ, you're making my exact point. Arts, academia, and media, they have constructed America in the exact way that they want to. But again, you got to go back to the beginnings of this thing. This is a Marxist movement that is bent on destroying our faith. And you know what, Roy? As much as you want people, it never works. It never will work. You cannot subjugate people to Christianity.
Doesn't work in Uganda. It doesn't work.
They're not subjugating people to Christianity. They're banning certain practices.
Do you see
they're
any
not subjugating
in the Middle
people.
East? Do you see any of them?
They're not forcing people to be Christians. You know what they do?
But they're doing other things. That's why they don't exist.
But look at you want to recreate Christianity. That's your version of Christianity. That's not Christianity. Christianity is followers of Christ. That means Christ was the one who established the rules.
I'm saying lock these people in solitary confinement until they change their ways.
Well, that wasn't what Christ did.
Well, bullshit. Well, I mean, we'll have them with the Bible, have them with food. Don't make, I don't want them.
Right, listen, you know what? If alcohol were discovered today, it would be a class A pharmaceutical. It would be a banned and very controlled substance. Now, do you think right now we could ever ban alcohol? We tried it in the 30s. It could never happen, right?
Where are you going with this?
What I'm going with that is look at the social disintegration with homosexuality, the sodomites and transgenders. Now all of a sudden you're going to ban it?
No issue with the gay community. You
want to have issue? Why wouldn't you have issue?
The trannies are disrespecting the gays.
Well, you know what? In the Bible it says that if you're basing it on Christianity, it's homosexuality that's called an abomination, not transgenderism.
Well, I know that. I know from a religious standpoint that the fundamentals and the curriculum in Christianity, the gays don't assimilate and they're not welcome. I understand that, but I'm referring to
no. But I'm talking about the condemnation, the biblical condemnation. Look, it's all reprobate spirit. It's all a deep abominable acts. Whether it's sodomy, homosexuality, whether it's transgenderism, they're all the same. It's moral decay.
Rob's nodding like he agreed. Rob, you're
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's all moral decay. I mean, it is. They're tearing it apart.
Right.
I get what you're saying, Rory, but I have to disagree with what you're saying. Ban the transgenders, paying that like Uganda, some of these other countries. But here's the scenario I use, and those.
Like, I'm not trying to hurt anybody, but people need. I feel like being locked away. I feel like being put under psychiatric evaluation. I feel like getting proper treatment. I feel like really rethinking your ways. I feel like 90% of these people's mindsets. They just need a rewiring. They need to reprogram. They need to just fucking really find themselves, because a lot of these people are left unattended. They don't really have many friends. They're social outcasts. I mean, yeah. So then they turn to go be a fucking tranny. I mean, these people are lost.
Yeah.
So
of course they're lost.
They're not lost. They're a danger. They're a threat to society.
Well, you want to put them in an internment camp. Those states that don't even
have them all march with each other, have them on chains. Yes.
Greg, you shouldn't suggest that shit to him.
Chain gang, motherfucker. Chain gang.
But no, you know what, Roy? There's a solution to that, and it really comes down to this just a very basic
men from chopping off their dicks.
A very basic idea.
Listen, chopping off their weenies.
In the reality that we live in the fact that we're not Uganda, nor could we ever impose such laws. It would never stand in the real world in America. It would never stand.
That president, you think he's a good president in Uganda? He's a good guy. Remember what that reporter asked him? What the reporter asked him?
He started laughing. Yeah, he said the homosexuals want to have a sit down with you. And he just laughed.
Had a pistol ready with that question.
Yeah. But the reality is if as a nation, again, it kind of comes back. Again, people who call themselves virtuous or good people, they're afraid to call out evil because they think you can't judge. Like somehow we're evil if we judge somebody's evil act. Look, if there is a evil, there is a good. If there is a good, there has to be an evil. It's not everybody is the same. If there is no good, then there is no evil.
All right.
You cannot have one without the other. And if there is evil, then good must call it out. And, kind of to Demensio's point, it has to be the light to shine. But, we're not going to get there by forcing people. And so it never works that way. It's been tried through the centuries. And Constantine did it in 312. Didn't work out so good in what became the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church today, with all of its Babylonian dogmas, are the result of the subjugation of everybody to Christianity in 312. But the bottom line is, you can do what you could do in this free country because we're already there. We're way past, alcohol is legal. You're not going to ban it. But you cannot twist America into a pretzel to accommodate you. That's where we draw the line. Look, you want to do that? You want to walk around in a dress? That's fine. But you're not allowed to subject our children in bathrums. You're not allowed to.
They're going
do
to.
the thing.
You're really just talking a dead end here. They're going to. That's my whole point.
We have to stop that. We can't stop people from wanting to be a transgender. We ought to for sure.
Lock them away, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, do you think that's going to happen in America?
They must love you in California.
No, it is.
They must love you in California, Rory.
No, yeah. I'm one of a kind. I am
under the Ayatollah Rory Sauter. It will happen.
You're like the poster boy, and all the trannies are throwing darts at your fucking head.
Probably. I want to change topics here. This is Los Angeles County Democrats' proposed plan to depopulate local jails because of systematic racism.
Of course.
Los Angeles County Supervisors Hilda Solis, an Indian, and Lindsay Horvath, I don't know, have proposed a plan to depopulate and decarcerate county jails, releasing criminals to address what they call a systematic racism in criminal justice. Solis, a former Democratic congresswoman and Secretary of Labor under Barack Obama, and Horvath, a mayor of West Hollywood who tried to bar President Trump from the city, have proposed the plan, which will be voted on at the next Board of Supervisors meeting on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Wow. The plan states to depopulate and decarcerate. Yeah. Wow. This is
Anybody less than $50,000.
Listen to this though. The plan states to and quote unquote to depopulate and decarcerate is a monumental task, and the board is committed to redress historical wrongs deeply rooted in systematic racism and prejudice, and reversal status quo responses to poverty, mental health, and medical needs, and substance abuse dependencies. I mean, what are we doing here?
No, systemic racism is a bunch of nonsense. And let me tell you, they're going to sit there and they're going to use that to decarcerate. Where the hell did that word come from? Decarcerate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, let's create some kind of woke word for the future. And instead of let's let them run free and commit more crimes. So last time I thought they were talking about anything less than $50,000. That means whether it's child molesters or whether somebody murdered somebody next door, it really didn't matter what it was. $50,000 was the limit, and they want to use the word systemic racism. Here's the problem: everybody's in charge of the system are minorities in that area. They're not running around. If there's a problem with the system, it's a problem with the leaders. If it's a problem with the really leaders, you get rid of the leaders. And if the leaders look like the people they're locking up, then your problem's even deeper than anybody realized, because how can that be systemic racism when you're sitting there and you are your population? You are the people you are locking up. So tell me how that works, other than in the word games that they play and this decarceration BS. They're going to let people out of jail. They're going to reduce their bond, and they're going to let them run free. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. But you know what? It's not the first time they've done it. They've done it in California for every day when it's time. Oh, the jail's overcrowded. We got to let so many out. Let's just go ahead and here's our cutoff. What's our cutoff? It's just all it is recycling the same old BS.
Greg, I'm letting you go last because you always talk. You always give the most. I'm letting you go last because Rob, go ahead. We'll start with you.
Yeah, I gotta run here in a minute. I got a call coming in 2 minutes, but I was just laughing. I was saying, then we let him out of LA. We send him up to San Francisco, give him $5 million in a property, and and then we'll just let California fall off into the ocean somewhere, and we'll be all good. We'll just get Rory out of Palm Springs first.
No, I'm safe here. There's no crime here, man. The worst that happens here is burglaries. That's it.
All I can say is the last one.
That's it. There's no murder here. There's like no crime, and the burglaries, happen, rarely. I mean, they don't even happen normally.
Hey, Rory. The last American out of California, just please bring the flag with you when you come.
Oh, there's a lot of flags here. There's a lot of conservatives in this town, believe me.
Yeah, rainbow flags.
No, but this town's only like 30% LGBT. I mean
that's 30% too many.
It's 30%. Yeah, I agree.
Trees are queer out there.
Hey, you say that like that's a good thing. 30. That's almost a third of the people.
Rory, so what you say with all the trees out there, everybody's leaving, right?
Rory, speaking of what you're just depopulating the jails. Well, my buddy John Fetterman, when he was lieutenant governor here in Pennsylvania, that's exactly what he was doing. Exactly. And some of the people that were let out in Philadelphia, what do you think they did? They committed more felonies. But this is a countrywide Democrat leftist program. In fact, that guy D.A. Bragg, who put all those bullshit charges against President Trump, another big proponent of that, dropping 40% of what was felonies or whatever. So this is a real attack on civil society. It's a complete disregard for law and order. Hence, this is why they hate Donald Trump.
You guys are too you're too focused on the facade. You got to pierce the veil and crash through the facade.
Real quick, Rob, tell everybody where they can find you.
C-Suite for Christ, Arizona.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Be the Christian Business Alliance. Start looking it up, and we'll be on here before too long. Y'all take care. I'll see you guys on Thursday night, and of course, NexGen Live. So,
all righty, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
This is the textbook. I say that there's two great Trojan horses of American Marxism. It is the climate change narrative and the systemic racist narrative. It's blank. It's never about blank. It's always about fundamental change. This whole racism thing, listen, it's not idiotic. It's deliberate. It's exactly what they want. It's not about making the streets safer. It's not about having peaceful coexistence and races get along. It's about fundamentally transforming. It's about a massive redistribution of wealth that can happen in our cities, in our states, and on a national level, and on a global level. This is exactly what it is. Don't be fooled and think these people are idiots. This is a movement. This is a deliberate movement with a specific intent and designed to destroy American way of life, to destroy free market capitalism, take money from these people and give it to these inner cities, make us all the same and all dependent on a authoritarian central government. Period. Dot. End of story.
Can we all agree that Obama really started all this shit when he was elected?
He really did.
I mean, make no mistake, but Bill Clinton sowed the seeds too. He was more of an opportunist, but he did a lot of damage too.
Did anybody hear about Joe Biden's moving to cut Medicare Advantage and the same thing that he was blaming Republicans for?
No.
Yeah, Joe Biden, you guys got to hear this. Joe Biden, the Biden administration announced that it would cut Medicare Advantage after the president has frequently claimed that Republicans want to slash Medicare and Social Security. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services announced this week that they would cut Medicare Advantage by 1.12% in 2024, which is not as significant a cut as what the administration proposed 2 months ago.
The system's bankrupt. Hello, the system's bankrupt. But, these systems need to be cut like giant cuts. We need serious Medicare and Social Security reform. But these bozos aren't going to get it. You look at the disconnect between Joe Biden and Janet Yellen. So here Janet Yellen is saying she's talking about the OPEC cuts. They're going to cut over a billion. OPEC plus 1.6 million barrels a day. And she says this is going to be because she called it unconstructive, and it's going to create uncertainty and uncertainty with the global outlook. On and on she went that this is a bad thing. And when Joe Biden was asked for it the same day, he's walking up the stairs and he turns around fumbling and stumbling, and this is what he wrote, and I'll quote him almost verbatim. It's not going to be as bad as you think. I seriously don't even think the guy even knew what the reporter was talking about. But the idiotic response, it's not going to be as bad as you think. Well, your own Treasury Secretary is calling it, and at best she's calling it an unconstructive act, which is a euphemism for this is going to be disastrous. And you know what? I've been getting sick and tired. I hear the same thing. They're stealing what I've been saying for years. Our energy security is our national security, and we should never be held hostage by oil rich countries that hate us. But these buffoons are never going to get that. Why? Because they don't give a damn about energy independence. They're all about fundamental change and massive redistribution of wealth. So, whether you're talking about one thing or the other, Medicare, Social Security, energy, they are about destroying this country, fundamentally changing it and transforming it, and making it the country they want it to look like. And it's a very ugly country.
And it was announced today that McDonald's is also closing U.S. offices and doing layoffs. I mean, the economy's in big trouble.
Huge trouble. Big trouble.
Well, Rory, they also announced Saudi Arabia, Russia, OPEC announced that they're cutting their supplies big time, and also that Joe Biden apparently never replenished the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So he's setting the course. He's setting the course for economic energy disaster. Besides day one cutting our pipelines, but he's setting the course now, and you don't hear too much shit about it in the media. But the gas prices are obviously going to explode now.
Absolutely.
If you've got everybody cutting back production.
Yeah, OPEC plus 1.6 million barrels a day they're going to cut. OPEC plus. OPEC itself 1 million. Yeah. OPEC plus 1.6 million. And yes, he diminished our strategic reserves to really critical levels. And now what's he going to, Donald Trump was buying that. Remember when the oil plunged and it was like negative in the negatives? People were paying you to take their oil futures. Because when you buy these contracts, it's not just like trading paper. Yes, but when it comes due, these futures, you're getting the oil. So if you're I'm in the markets, I like to buy the oil futures. Guess what? If you don't unload that contract before the settlement date, the trucks are going to show up at your house, and you better have somewhere to put. That literally is what happens. These trucks were getting ready to roll, and people are like, I don't have anywhere to put this oil. That was the problem. They were to capacity. They had anywhere to store it, so they start dumping it. Hey, 80, 70, 60, 50. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give you $50 a barrel. Just take this, or 40. whatever it bought. It was a negative dollar. And Donald Trump had the wherewithal to buy tons and tons of oil to fill it, to top us off of the strategic oil reserves. And this jackass to replenish it, what's it going to be? $90 a barrel? $100 a barrel?
Listen to this. So we now have $1 trillion in deposits withdrawn from U.S. banks. Gold set to break above 2,000 an ounce.
It already did.
Multiple countries using Chinese yuan for trade. Bitcoin is up 50% in 1 month. U.S. dollar used in 59% of world reserves, down from 72%. It's not good, man. This is not good.
No, the dollar's days are numbered.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
When we're no longer the reserve currency, I'm pretty sure the game's over.
Well, you know what? My show on Tuesday is going to be specifically on that, what it means to lose our reserve currency status. And it's not going to happen overnight. I don't know if it'll happen in a couple of years. It's happening. It's like, again, the frog boiling to death. It's going to happen, like where it's totally gone. But it's going to be a slow transition, just like it's happening. And it is happening. And China is accelerating that process with making all these deals all around the world, from the BRIC countries to Africa.
And a new report, you know, this is a new one. We haven't talked about this yet, but it basically was just announced. Japan is basically ditching the U.S., who has been an ally for a long time, and purchasing Russian oil above price cap.
Yeah, I read that, above the $60.
Roy,
what did I say last week?
And listen to this: India ditches the U.S. dollar in new trade deal.
Russia is taking.
And Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, the other top oil producers are making massive oil production cuts, like you just said, Greg. I mean, shit's all over the place.
Well, and it's like we said last week. These countries can call us their friends all they want, but when it comes to like putting heat in the stove, putting fuel in your automobiles and in your heating systems, they're going to say, bye-bye, America. They're going to take care of their people. They're going to ditch America, the American dollar, or whatever we think they're our friends. No, when push comes to shove, and it's a question of that, they're not stupid like us with Joe Biden and this radical left progressive movement, the zealots. And I know it's funny. I've been calling them climate zealots for years, and now all of a sudden that pejorative has made its way into mainstream media now. These zealots are going to have their way, but they're not stupid like that. They're going to buy oil where they can buy oil cheapest, and they're going to put it in their cars and in their furnaces, and America can go pound salt with all their stupid asinine climate change. The other one, we know as of May 1st, you're not going to be able to get a incandescent bulb. He's going to sign an executive order prohibiting retailers from selling incandescent bulbs. Nice, real nice.
And it was announced today that the Chinese currency replaces U.S. dollar, becoming the most traded currency in Russia.
Yeah.
Well, of course, that's a retaliation. But you know what? And what have I said all along? And I covered this on my show last week. You want to know when China's going to invade Taiwan? When they are de-dollarized to the point where sanctions, U.S. sanctions and SWIFT sanctions, they're immune to that. When they're immune to U.S. dollar, to U.S. sanctions, they will invade Taiwan at that point.
And there's another report that Finland is officially joining NATO tomorrow. A lot of shit going on.
The right one. Rory, in Finland, I think it was Finland.
The smelly party animal feminists got defeated. We a conservative beat her ass.
Yes,
her pussy got pounded.
You may see more of that. You may see more of that across the world.
Yeah,
right moves getting in power.
Rick, do you have any thoughts?
Did you see where the Hungarian prime minister told Trump, "We're with you"?
Stand strong. Hey, he told him to stand strong.
Yeah.
Rick, do you have any thoughts about all this?
Yeah, I was thinking a while ago and talking about the oil prices. Earlier today, they were talking about $84.
Oh, and one more thing I have to add to this. Russia and India abandoned Europe-dominated oil price, agree to use Dubai oil price benchmark. You guys hear about that?
I don't know what the Dubai thing is. That OPEC thing?
Yeah, and the thing is the Middle East oil is like the Middle East people, filthy, dirty, and it doesn't burn as clean as West Texas Intermediate. So their oil is worse. So there you go, Joe Biden. Let the world feed off the Middle Eastern oil, which is dirty scum oil. It's putting more pollutants in the air that you supposedly are so hell bent against, preventing or in favor of preventing. And so abandon our own energy independence and our West Texas crude, and let's fill the world with Brent and Middle Eastern goo.
And here's what's dangerous. Saudi Arabia, the trade alliance that they formed with China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and 4 other Central Asian nations. I mean, it's just dangerous, and I'm seeing how they're a step they're a step further away from reliance on the U.S. dollar. They just, it's.
You're not even mentioning.
What I meant was how it's formed here. What it says is Saudi Arabia enters into a trade alliance with China, Russia, India, Pakistan, and 4 Central Asian nations to step further away from reliance on the U.S. dollar. And there's also a report: Saudi Arabia, Russia, UAE, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, and Algeria to cut oil production output until the end of 2023, which we talked about earlier. But yeah, this is all crazy. Rick, sorry, I just wanted to say some stuff.
No, I just think this is something, that I think, if you look back and you see with our president now, he's done every single thing he can to put us last in the world in everything that you can do. And there's no doubt in my mind that anybody can look at this if they got the least bit of sense and see, yeah, he's making a lot of money. Basically, he sold our country out. He's done it. And, it's obvious, and nobody's going to say anything about it, not at the moment anyway. When you got this balloon still going around doing figure 8s around all our military posts and soaking up all our intelligence from these posts, and we're now allowing all our enemies, which used to be allies, inking deals with Iran and inking deals with Russia and China. Now Russia and China is going to be the new player in the world, which I remember growing up, my grandpa say, well, the one you better watch out is China. China's the one that's going to come up and get you. I mean, when growing up, that's all you ever heard is watch out for China. They keep talking about Russia, but it's China you better watch out for. Yet you didn't hear the politicians say anything about China. But then you got Joe Biden out there selling us every day to the week. His family's making money, and we're supposed to be oblivious and subservient to his process. And I don't understand, other than the fact that the amount of money he's making, he sold us out for what he's getting. And what does he figure? He's not going to be here in another 25 years, so who cares?
How do criminals think? Look, Joe Biden as a person is a corrupt piece of shit, period. Joe Biden as a politician is a wind vane. He goes whichever way the radical left is blowing. In the 90s, blacks in schools, we're going to make our schools like jungles. But now it's a radical left, let's get trannies in the front lines. So whichever way the political left radical progressives are blowing, that's the way he's pointing. But as a person, he is corrupt to the core. And criminals never touch. All they care about is right now. And when you're a criminal who's part of the elite tier of the justice system, you just keep on doing it. When you don't have to suffer the consequences of your action, you are bound to repeat them over and over again until you become invincible, or you feel like you're so far above the law and you have this degree of arrogance that it doesn't matter to you anymore. And it has never mattered for these people, whether it's the Clintons or the Bidens or the Obamas, the corruption that is in the very DNA of these people. But as individuals, they're corrupt to the core. As politicians, they're nothing but wind vanes blown by the radical left and the progressives.
Greg, who's behind the controlled demolition of the U.S. economy? Who's pulling Biden's strings? The CCP? Is it a globalist thing? Who's behind the destruction of the U.S.?
The progressive, you have two tiers of people. The useful idiots like ass of clowns, Bernie Sanders, and the rest of the jackasses, and Biden, because he goes with them. And then you've got the puppet masters, who the guys holding the strings, the World Economic Forum people, the Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, the Davos dimwits. They meet in Davos and they're going to solve all the world's problems. These people are control freaks, satanic, evil, demonic people. They're pulling the strings, and then they've got all the useful idiots spread around the world, primarily in Europe, in Canada, and in America.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Matthew, you have anything?
No, can I just make a comment what we were discussing earlier? Because I just think it's so important. Tomorrow is going to be a historic day in the United States. I just a black stain on the Republic of what's going to be happening, transpiring in Manhattan. But you don't hear the Mitch McConnells or any of them fucking scumbags saying one word of support for President Trump, who has done the most for this country in the past 7 years. It is beyond a disgrace. I know it's an obvious point, but it's so sad to see the Republic in free fall and seeing a former president going around a Manhattan DA being mugshotted. It's just a terrible thing to say. I just want to say it again.
We'll close with that. We'll close with that. But I want to say one thing. I want to mention one more thing before we close with that. It was announced today that North Korea is revamping its uranium enrichment plant. Kim Jong-un is at it again. Satellite images published by the Monitor site 38 North this weekend indicate that communist North Korea has refurbished the uranium enrichment facility at its Yongbyon Nuclear Scientific Research Center and is potentially expanding the operation of its nuclear reactors there. Anybody have any thoughts to this?
Yeah. Yongbyon.
I tried to say Yongbyon.
Wonton.
Yeah, Trump's not here now, so he's going to do what he wanted to do.
I actually like that guy for some reason. He's kind of cool. He's just
him and Trump were tight.
Such a badass. He's like 32 years old, and he's telling everybody, he's giving everybody else orders. Even other world leaders are scared of him. It's pretty funny.
He's a fat.
He'll feed them to the dogs.
Oh, he will.
Joe Biden's stupid.
He's
Keep
an evil. He's an
nice
evil
guy. Trump even said he's a good guy. Like this.
Nah, he is an evil
dictator,
fat
man.
piece of crap dictator. That's all he is.
He's a
An
good
evil
man.
fat
We can learn a
douchebag.
lot from that man.
Now, what do you learn? You need to learn how to be evil. I know how to look. I go out and slash your. I'll go out and slash your throat and kill you. I don't need to learn that. All I can teach you is how to be evil. And I don't need to learn that. That's kind of like you can make that stuff up. You don't need to learn that. He's an evil piece of crap. He enslaves his people, and all they do is work for him.
Yes.
And work in their sweatshops and counterfeit billions of US dollars every decade.
Hey, there can be a lot of evilness in somebody, but there can also be good in them.
Yeah.
There's McDonald's there.
He's one of
any good in Satan?
He's one of God's creatures. Jesus loves him.
Rory,
Yeah, so is a cockroach. So is a cockroach one of God's creatures.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, absolutely. Animal. He's an animal. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with What do you have against cockroaches?
Less than what I got against Kim Jong-un, that's for sure.
Did you actually mean the insect, or were you referring to a certain?
Oh, the insect.
Oh, I thought you were referring to a group. Okay. Rick, you have any thoughts on this guy? You like this guy? You think he's a cool guy?
No, I don't like none of these beasts.
You like him?
I don't like none of them. I've got no respect for any of them. I think, and getting back to how other countries work and what they do. This was talked about earlier. My buddy, he's no longer with us. He was a law enforcement officer for years. I learned a lot from him. And one time we were sitting in the car and we were talking about the problems of the world and how to fix America. And he popped up and he said, he said, over in the Mideast, he said, when I was over there working, he said, I was in the service over there. And he says, I worked special details and doing the intelligence. He did all this for the Navy stuff. He said, I was doing the intelligence and all that. And he says, and what I found was, he said, people over there, and they obeyed the law and they did what they were supposed to do. You may not like their laws. You may not like the way they done business. He said, but if your son went out and done something wrong, your son only was going to be the last one in the family to die because they were going to kill everybody in front of him down to the square or wherever the place was in the city. He says they killed the whole family in front of him. And the only thing he got was he was the last one to die. He said, so people over there really watched what they did and how they acted. And that's what we were talking about earlier is these third world countries, they don't care about laws. They don't care about how we live and don't live. And we've never had to, other than with an internal war, civil war, the wars like, the British and the French and Indian War, all these things that went on that were on our soil. But in the modern day, we've not had to fight a war on our turf. And the way we're setting it up, we're going to have to, because everybody in the world is going to use us to kick their football off of. We're not even going to need a football.
You can't compare the Middle East to the United States if for nothing or no other reason. It's not multicultural. You go to Iraq and it's not, yeah, I get it. You got the Kurds, you got the Shia and the Sunnis, but it's this Muslim country. And even then they have serious fighting. You know, the Shias and the Sunnis can't get along. They kill each other, but it's not this hodgepodge of all these cultures converging each one. I mean, if you hand a Bible tract, that is a death sentence. Even in liberal Turkey, you can't even hand a Bible tract. So there's no multiculturalism in the Middle East. It is a Muslim culture through and through. In the United States, we've got every freaking culture under the sun, and they're all vying for control, and they're all vying for their rights, and really nobody's in control. We have just massive chaos because we are no longer the United States of America. We are just the United Cultures of the world, and that doesn't work.
Guys, and while we're talking about war, China holds military drills near Taiwan as a guy named Tsai, I think his name is, that's how it's pronounced, TSAI, plans meeting with Kevin McCarthy. So, I mean, are they just trying to provoke McCarthy?
Yeah, they're saber rattling.
Yeah,
I don't think
they're just trying to scare.
They're making a big deal of it, but I would think the opportune time for China to invade Taiwan is if Joe Biden's stupid enough to put a couple 100,000 U.S. ground troops in eastern Ukraine or wherever it was. I think China is an opportunist nation, and they're going to see when the U.S. is potentially at its weakest or can't fight a two-theater war. So we'll see how that evolves.
Biden is a pathetic nothing. He should be meeting with the president of Taiwan, not the Speaker of the House. The president of Taiwan comes to this country, you meet with her. That's the way it should be. But not this feckless, weak, bought, sold, paid for by China. He's so scared of jeopardizing. I don't know. Maybe he's still getting the kickbacks. I don't know. But he is not a leader. He projects nothing but fecklessness and weakness.
We're seeing that.
As a former, I want to bring this up before we close out the show, because I think this would restore a lot of, just obedience in our society. I believe it would restore a lot of law and order. I believe it would help fix communities. I think it would help people with ethics, morals, with logic, with rationale. I think it would be proper discipline, what I'm about to say. You know how in Singapore, you know how in different places, if you go to Thailand, you go anywhere, you
get caned.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of going there. But if you even put a cigarette butt out, they'll fucking put your ass in jail. If you spit on the ground, they'll put your fucking ass in jail.
There's no public chewing gum.
Yeah. So would that be third world, Rick, in your opinion? If we enforce that, don't you agree that there would be less chaos? There would be less. Yeah. I mean, if people knew that they were going to get caned or they knew that they were going to go to jail,
right?
Rick, I'm just wondering, because I'm thinking of ways that we can cure certain problems that we are facing, because people love to break the law. People love to be disobedient. People love to rebel because they know in a lot of ways that the consequences they're going to receive are not going to be very, very bad, because with the laws these days, they get right out, they go do it again. But if they were harsh, punishments like they are in some of these countries, I think a lot of people would think twice, and I think we would have safer communities.
Well, what you're basically saying is people respond to fear.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you got to instill fear in the trannies and lock them up and make them change their ways.
Growing up, if you were told not to do something and you did it, what happened? You got
spanked.
And now
the belt out or the belt,
right?
Or whatever.
Now
or the hanger.
Now it's totally different.
I never got the belt or the hanger, but I got some thumps. I got some thumps on the head. I got
no wire hangers.
What?
Rory said he got. Hey guys, you hear that? Rory said he got some bumps on the head growing up.
No, I got some.
That's called child abuse, Rory.
I got
That explains it all, does it not?
No, I believe in corporal punishment. I believe in it. I think it works.
So let me tell you, when I remember the last time I went to the principal's office, I was in the I think I was in the third or fourth grade, and I had to go in there. And me being a little smart ass that I was in the third grade, I was okay. I was a very compliant child, but I heard one time somebody say, "Well," and I'll give you the punchline in just a second. So the principal goes in there and he tells me shut the door, and he's got a paddle, and he's going to use it on me.
Nice.
And then he looks at me and he says,
"Bend over, boy."
No. He turns around. He says, "Turn around and shut and lock the door." And I looked at him. I said, "Oh no, I saw a great movie and I used a line from it." I said, "You don't want me to shut and lock that door." He said, "Why not?" I said, "Because you might be wanting the first one to get out it." I was only third grade, but the line sounded good, but the paddle sounded worse. That's all I could tell you. And the feeling wasn't there. Kind of my acting debut went out the window right there. So I could tell you, people respond, even as a child, we respond to the fear of what might happen to you if you misbehave and don't do what you're supposed to. So as we as a society, the further we get away from that, and the further we've gotten away from that, look at what's happened to us here today.
That's what I'm saying.
Plain and simple. And now you're going to say, let's go back and do this. That right there would create some kind of, that would be a civil war. Can you imagine the folks that would show up on one side of that versus, I mean, it would be, because first thing they do is they tie you up in the courtrooms and they sue the belt makers.
That's the obvious. You cannot, government cannot do what families have neglected to do for decades.
Exactly.
And when you talk about corporal punishment, we put people in jail for spanking their kids now.
No,
the
I'm
old
talking
principals paddling you, those days are long gone. So you think the government is actually going to cane somebody like they do in Singapore? In Singapore, the kids, the only people that do that kind of crap are American idiots who go over there and break the laws, because families there, you do get punished. You do get corporal punishment in the homes, and the people are much more disciplined. But you cannot expect government to do what parents have neglected to do for decades. Oh, by the way, parents aren't even around to even administer any kind of discipline or training and discipleship in the home. So good luck with that.
I'm just saying, if America had a Singapore type jurisdiction,
it doesn't work. Because you don't have fathers in the home.
Why are the streets of Singapore clean and spotless, and you don't have any homeless people? You
also have the sanctity of marriage, the family.
They said
the family is reverenced,
and they said it's one of the safest cities in the world too, according to.
It's the size. It's a city country. It's only the size of a city, and it's very authoritarian. But the family is very intact. I mean, these Chinese families are very, very intact. Family is extremely important. You got a society in America where the family is completely redefined. Two daddies, two mommies, two trannies, whatever. It's craziness here. So, the government, we've taken the big G God out of society. We've replaced it with the big G government, and that's not boding well for America.
True. What does Rick think about all this? Or Matthew J first, then Rick.
Yeah, I agree how things have just really. I went to Catholic high school, Rory, and grade school, and I'll tell you, man, the nuns used to kick our ass. They kept us in line, and I'll be honest with you, I really hated their guts for it. But I guess it made for a better adult. When you got older, you knew there were limitations and boundaries what you could do. You couldn't disrupt the class or give the nun a finger and without getting your ass kicked for doing that.
You couldn't say no to the priest.
But nowadays we look at it's everything that train has left the station. As far as Singapore, we could never institute anything like that because society has drifted so far away. We will never see that. Of course, it's a great thing. You spit down, you throw your cigarette in the curb, and next thing you know, you're doing 30 days in jail. That would be wonderful. You have a spotless city, and you'd have no crime.
We'd need 100 million officers to enforce the laws. We can't even keep people from murdering people in the streets and in the subways, and we're going to keep them from throwing cigarette butts and chewing gum. Yeah, good luck.
No, I hear you, Rick. Final thoughts.
Yeah, my final thought is we're too far gone for that. I mean, we're now stuck in a situation that's like trying to go back and return country music back to the basic principles of country music. Shania Twain, who I used to like her songs, like her story, now I could care less about her based on she's gotten to the political drive of everything.
Yeah, she's turned into a liberal cunt, hasn't she?
Yeah, well, when I saw her the other day on some show, and she came out with the pink hair and the pink, and I thought, what in the heck am I looking at here? What has she done to herself? And I thought, then I said, she's going out on loose end there. But you know what? She was struggling in her career. She had to do something. I think she just wants to go out there.
Did she still have a career?
Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, apparently.
She only had like 1 or 2 songs, didn't she?
Oh no, she had out, but she's been out in Vegas. She had a mental breakdown, all kinds of stuff. She's been out in Vegas for the last several years. Couldn't sing, then came back there, but and she did.
Was she the one that was gang raped by like the eight black guys in the alley, or was that a different country singer?
No, her parents were killed in a logging.
Oh, there was some country singer that was gang raped by a bunch of black dudes in an alley in I think Nashville. It's like a big story. I thought that was Shania Twain. Maybe somebody else.
I heard nothing about that.
I missed that story.
Yeah, but I think the problem is that we're not going to go back and change society because society's too busy changing everybody else on these far left ideas. Now you got your kids who've been so far indoctrinated. Now it's like you got to pull them out of the fire. The house is on fire and they don't want to leave. So you're going to have a battle no matter what you do. All we can do is hope that they get their heads out of their butt and realize that the direction they're going as they get older is a place they don't want to be. But by that time, their children will be indoctrinated. So, I've changed over the years. I'm a very conservative person, used to, I wasn't as conservative as I am now. But when you see society and when you fight through the battles and you're out in the streets and you see the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you can see it and touch it and feel it every day, your whole philosophy about survival is a little bit different because now you'll do what it takes to survive. And I'll be honest with you, if I had to protect my children or anything, doing that means nothing to me. Going to trial means absolutely nothing to me because from seeing what I've seen out there, I'll do whatever it takes to take care of my family. And I'll be tried by 12 and carried by 6 any day. And all they has to do is, my job is to have a better day and then better than that SOB pointing a gun at me, and to get through that. So I don't think things going. I think things are going to get typically worse, and I think that it's not going to get better until we put the leadership back into the White House that we need to. And we can't have a dictator, but we can sure come in with a strong, firm grip to get it back.
Yeah, it's true. Well, guys, tomorrow's the big day. It's going to be interesting. And I want to say something about that. The silence from a lot of Republicans today in Washington is deafening. It's sickening. It's very sad that.
Well, they don't want to be indicted. They don't want to be indicted. Everybody's trying to tie them into the indictments.
Go ahead.
Rory, I was thinking about it. If things work out tomorrow morning for me, I was going to go up and watch President Trump come out of Trump Tower.
Well, do it, man.
Well, I have a few things to take care of. I might be able to do it because I'm only about an hour away from train. With the train,
but however, you love the train. Grounds in New York City. This is the Next Gen Live.
I know, Rory, I don't want to be a pussy about this, but we know what happened in January 6th. No, listen, I'm concerned about, let's say if I go to MTG's rally or Trump Tower, something does go down, and the fucking FBI gets everybody's cell phone that was just happened to be 10 blocks away. The next thing you know, you get a fucking knock at the door.
They're coming for MJ, dude. They're coming for MJ.
So I may have to be a couch warrior and stay here and watch it.
Oh, man. Is it really only an hour away from you?
I'm about 15 minutes from Trenton, and then I just take Amtrak. I can go up for free. Right up there, and it's about 45 minutes.
Speaking of that, I'm going on a trip before long.
Real quick, Matthew. I know it would obviously, it would be amazing footage, but don't you want to be there for that historic moment?
Well, again, Rory, I'm thinking about doing it. There's a guy that has a channel called Raw Alerts. He got there tonight. And he's going to be doing the whole thing tomorrow. And I think, yes, it's a historic event. It's unfortunately a negative historic event, but it's something I'd like to get to. Depends on how things roll tomorrow, what things I have to do in the morning. He's going to be doing the hearing at 2:15, but I'd like to be up there like late morning when he's leaving Trump Tower.
Hey, just make you one of those lanyards. Get yourself a Next Gen USA press badge. Just make one up, put it on a lanyard around your neck. Just walk in there. I guarantee you, people are like, "Oh yeah, Next Gen," and he'll just let you waltz on through.
Well, I was thinking about that, Greg, press credentials, but I thought you were going to say something else. Put a big LGBT flag, and they'll put me right to the front of the line.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, Rory, that's something there. You going to come out with press badges for everybody?
Oh yeah, we will. We'll have those too. I'm working on that. The credentials. We're already in tune with that. We're already on the ball with that. Absolutely. We're going all in with this network. But what we
need it by tomorrow morning, Rory. Get working on it.
No, it takes a little longer than tomorrow morning, but I expect to have them in the next month or two.
Right.
Can you get me a spot in the White House?
I was waiting till the portal launches, and the portal's launching this week, so we're ready to rock and roll. But what were you saying, Merk?
I want a White House press office badge, credentials.
Well, it doesn't fucking start there, man.
Come on. The Next Gen USA.
It starts more with going to events and getting access. I mean, the White House comes later on. You got to be really special to get those kind of fucking badges.
April 22nd.
Doesn't get any more special than Greg Merk.
April 22nd, I'll be in Greensboro with our Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, and I'll be right next to him when he's announcing that he is going to be. I say next to him. I'll be in that general area. That when he announces that he is going to run for governor for the state of North Carolina.
Nice.
Now, having said that, there's never been one lieutenant governor ever elected to the governorship. But let me tell you something. There's no doubt in my mind when he makes his announcement, he will be on fire. So get ready. It's coming. So he's coming.
I love it. Matthew, I wanted to ask you about going to Trump Tower tomorrow. What do you think the traffic would be like? Well, you're not going to Trump Tower, but what do you think the traffic will be like getting there? Like, how do you think we'll be able to get through?
Yes. Whereas I'm going to
shut it down. There's no traffic.
But even walking, aren't they going to block off stuff blocks away, or are they going to let people go through?
It looks like it's only a half block. I can do that in 20 minutes from where Amtrak lets me off. Because I've been there a few times. It's about a 20-minute walk. It looks like they've got it blocked off about a half a block, but I'd be able to get close enough possibly to get some footage at Trump Tower. And I don't know how far the Lower Manhattan Courthouse is from there. It's supposedly a short distance.
Oh, so this isn't happening till the afternoon. Oh, yeah, Rick, we're closing out right now. So let me get this straight. This is not happening in the morning. This is happening.
I thought it was 2:15, but I could be wrong. The arraignment.
2:15 is what I heard.
Yeah.
Okay, so nobody has to worry about the 9 a.m. shit, because usually this kind of shit happens in the morning.
Yes.
So it's interesting that it's happening in the afternoon. Okay. Rick, tell everybody where they can find you.
Catch me on Facebook. You can catch me on Twitter. You can catch me on the YouTube. You can catch me here. I'm working on my own website now, trying to get a website up and running and getting some stuff for, I got some ideas I'm coming up with for some T-shirts with some sayings, some slogans on there, It'll be pretty interesting to see what happens there. And I'm also going to be doing the elect Mark Robinson stuff on there, and I'm also going to do the North Carolina Sheriff Police Alliance stuff. So.
I love it. Matthew, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can certainly catch me here at the TheNexGenUSA.com network and also on Twitter.
Greg, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm going to be Minutes with Merk switching to Wednesdays and Fridays, 6 p.m. Central on Next Gen USA, Twitter, Facebook, all social media.
Excellent. Well, everybody, another episode of the Next Gen Live in the books. Have a great rest of your night. We will see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern. Until then, I'm Rory Sauter. God bless. Much love.